Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
My name is William Lewis, and I'm Professor of Government in the Department of History and Government. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Chairman of the Department, Dr. Sammy Miller, to welcome all of you this afternoon. It's a wonderful day as we come together to recognize and to celebrate with our honorees at this Honors Day celebration of achievement. At this time, I would like to recognize our Provost. Provost Jackson is here. So, Provost, will you come front? Provost, please come.
Dr. Robertson. Yeah, hit the volume. Oh, no, you don't want that to come down.
Is that better?
It is.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. And thank you, Dr. Lewis. I didn't come prepared to make any remarks. I just came to observe, but being called upon Boy Scout teachers always suggest that you should be prepared. But thank you for at least inviting me, and thank you, History Department, for continuing your tradition of recognizing our student scholars and others. Particularly makes me proud because if you don't know it, I'm also a member of the History Government faculty by virtue of appointment when I first entered Bowie back in 2012. So thank you for making me part of this, and a few students that I know, and I'm looking at one right now. I won't embarrass them, but it does my heart proud to see all of you accomplishing the things that you do. Welcome to Bowie State, and let's enjoy the festivities. Thank you.
At this time, I would like the honorees to stand so we can recognize them. All honorees, please stand. Now, the very important guests, the parents, grandparents, relatives, and friends. Now, you can sit down, the honorees, right? Those are the folks paying the bills. So let's recognize them, please. Parents, grandparents, friends, and relatives who are here, please stand. Thank you so much. Before we continue with the program, I would also like to recognize Dr. Edna Medford. She's sitting back there. Professor of History at Howard University. Thank you, Dr. Medford. Also, the faculty of the Department of History and Government, please stand so we can recognize you. Please. And kindly announce your names. Dr. Walker, we'll start with you.
Carmen Walker, Dr. Carmen Walker, Professor of Government, History and Government.
Dr. Bird.
Dr. Robert Bird, Professor of Philosophy, Department of History and Government.
Dr. Davidson.
Dr. Roger Davidson, Professor in the Department of History and Government.
Dr. Brown.
Oh, hey, Dr. Brown. I gotta talk later, so.
Dr. Ra.
Benjamin Ira, History and Government.
Dr. Reddy.
I'm Sumat Reddy. I teach geography.
Provost Jackson.
Walter Jackson, History Government.
And the backbone of the department,
Yay.
Mrs. Carrico, our administrative assistant.
Someone is behind
can't miss Dr. Robertson.
He's got to talk too.
I can't miss Dr. Robertson because he's going to do the occasion.
D.R. Robinson, government.
Make some remarks.
Well, just following Dr. Lewis and thanking Provost Jackson for coming out. This is always a special occasion for us to see our students and their parents. It's also a special occasion for a few of us on the government side because of the keynote speaker. The keynote speaker is a graduate of our department. And for me personally, it's important because he was one of the first students. I started here in 2005, and he was like one of the first students that I was able to witness grow as he matriculated through the department. He went on to get his master's degree from Howard and also Catholic University, and now he's a PhD candidate at Catholic University. So it's a particularly special occasion for me to witness one of our own comeback that we're so very proud of. And want to thank you once again for being able to come out and support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. At this time, I will call on Dr. Tamara Brown to do the occasion.
Hello. I'm Dr. Tamara Brown. I'm an associate professor of history and director of women's studies in the Department of History and Government at Bowie State University. See, I told you I'd have to talk later. So the Department of History and Government contributes to Bowie State University's major mission as a regional comprehensive liberal arts university. It provides an atmosphere that promotes intellectual development, scholarship, and critical thinking for its diverse group of students. Students who major in history or government have the opportunity to experience the responsibilities and rewards of leadership. This combination of learning and personal challenge enables the graduates to face the demands of an ever-changing world in the 21st century with confidence and authority. In addition to the majors in history and government, we offer minors in geography, government, history, philosophy, pre-law, women's studies, historical management, international studies, and Pan-African studies. This year, we have 102 combined majors and minors, 87 current history and government majors. We have 42 history majors, which is up from last year's number, hallelujah, and 45 government majors. Students maintain an average GPA of 2.89, which is a B overall. The history GPA is 2.86. Because the government GPA, they beat us, y'all. Y'all history majors, get it together with a 2.91. Y'all took it this year. Congratulations. But currently, the department supports one of the highest graduation and retention rates of all departments on campus. Our Honors Day celebration of achievement is a real joy for the department. It does take a lot of work. You saw us running around here. We had a very busy day today. We also were doing our review for the University System of Maryland. So it was a really busy day, but we got it all together. And we're so thankful that you all are here, and we're so happy to be able to honor you today. Thank you so much.
Before I formally introduce the speaker for today, I want you to join me in welcoming our president. At least, Mr. President, you can win. He has another engagement, so unfortunately, he couldn't stay with us tonight. But I'm sure his heart is with us. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the speaker for tonight, a former student of mine, Mr. Joshua Miller, a graduate of Bowie State University's Department of History and Government. He's a doctoral candidate at the Catholic University of America. He has worked as a policy and investigative analyst with the Government Accountability Office and the Inspector General's Office for the Department of Treasury and the Department of Housing and Urban Development, respectively. In this capacity, Joshua worked on a variety of complex white-collar criminal cases, collaborated on a series of short and long-range reports for the Senate Budget and House Financial Services Committees, prepared congressional testimony on financial crimes committed by financial institutions, and investigated conflicts of interest during presidential transitions. Currently, Mr. Miller uses sophisticated data techniques to locate missing and exploited children within the public and subsidized housing system. Joshua earned 2 master's degrees in congressional and presidential studies and political science from Catholic University and Howard University. Please join me in welcoming our speaker tonight, Mr. Joshua Miller. By the way, another thing that is not in the script is that Joshua and 3 other students come to this campus each year, free of charge, volunteer their time to speak and to encourage other students. So, we thank you so much.
First, I would like to congratulate all of those who will be honored today, and I appreciate the department's recognition of their students' hard work and efforts. I think that majoring in history and government at an HBCU means that your efforts have to extend beyond your time here at Bowie. Majoring in history and government at an HBCU provides you with a special responsibility to your family, to those that matriculate after you at historically black institutions like this one, and to the minority community as a whole. Some of you, just like myself, and just like so many other students at Bowie State and at other HBCUs, are the first to attend and attempt to graduate from college. This means that you have a special responsibility to rewrite or add to the story of your family and to those in your community that weren't lucky enough to make it here. This means you have a responsibility to excel at this and to overcome any challenges that threatens to disrupt your academic progress. Throughout my academic career, both here at Bowie State and at Howard University, my classmates and I, specifically the 3 people that he mentioned, all experienced some type of personal tragedy, had some type of crisis, and even lost family members. And we each time had to make a conscious effort to overcome these challenges just to make it through the semester. I personally lost my stepfather, the only father I knew, and my uncle, who was like a father to me at critical times. And my classmates lost family members as well. Some of them had to witness their parents suffer through chronic unemployment due to the Great Recession, and some of them actually had major setbacks like failing a course required for graduation. But in each of these circumstances, my classmates and I recognized that we had a responsibility to overcome these challenges and to dismantle the generational curses that had gripped our families in a vicious cycle of dysfunction, and to rewrite the stories of our family through obtaining a higher education. Taking on this responsibility works to change the dynamic and the trajectory of your family and your community as you inspire those who look up to you. Take as an example my niece, who followed me here, even though she was born to a 13-year-old mother. She graduated and received her master's degree. And my younger sister, despite the financial constraints of my family, is fighting it out at Morgan State right now and has plans to go to law school. So when you attend an institution like this, it's not just about you. It's about contributing a positive chapter to the story of your family and your community. But it's not just about your responsibility to your family. You have a responsibility to those that will matriculate at an institution like this one in the future. So that means a lot of things, but it first means representing Bowie State with integrity, with grace, with competence, and with audaciousness. When you enter into the workforce, you are going into a world where people of all races, including our own, have been socialized into believing that hiring someone black is equivalent to hiring someone unqualified. People that think that being at an HBCU means you have less value and less to offer. And this creates a vicious cycle as other young and talented Black Americans think they have to avoid HBCUs in order to avoid the stigma of inferiority. And this robs HBCUs of the young and talented individuals that would emphatically demonstrate all that HBCUs have to offer the world. So that means when you walk into that boardroom, or you go to give that presentation at an academic conference, or when you step up to address the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have to do it at the highest level possible. For when you speak, you are speaking for those that will follow you. And failure to take that responsibility seriously means you would have crossed that narrow bridge of opportunity and you would have blown it up behind you. So when you leave Bowie State, it's your A game and nothing less. Not just for you, but for those that will follow you. And so you have a responsibility to your family, you have a responsibility to those that will follow you, but as HBCU students, you have a responsibility to link your individual efforts to the improvement of our community as a whole. This is what I call Black consciousness. In the past, Black consciousness has been woefully defined. But I define Black consciousness as linking your individual efforts to improving the lives of other Black people. This means if your talent is litigation and you are a Black lawyer, then you should try to be the best at it so that you can turn around and develop other Black attorneys. If you're a structural engineer and you're great at building things to last, then you should try to be the best at it. So the most enduring thing you build is a bridge of opportunity for other Black engineers. If you're an entrepreneur, your goal is not just to be a millionaire, but to help develop other Black entrepreneurs. I know a lot of people talk about being woke, but I talk about being conscious. Being woke only means you are aware of racism and maybe can explain it. As an HBCU student, you have a higher calling than being woke. You're called to be conscious, which means you've linked your efforts to the improvement of our community as a whole. Now, broadly, you have a responsibility to our community as a whole, but as history and government scholars, and this is the most important part. As history and government scholars, you have a responsibility to remind our community of their responsibility to vote and participate in our politics. This is a very important point because a lot of people in our politics are unschooled about politics. They are experts at tweeting about racism, but they remain aloof about our history. And we know this to be true because they think that interrupting political rallies is more important than voting. As history and government scholars, you know what our history looks like. You know that we've endured 246 years of slavery, followed by 100 years of being lynched by racial mobs, segregated into inferior living conditions, and is forced into the peonage system, which was just slavery by another name. And that was followed by 50 years of being redlined into ghettos, carted off to jail by the masses, and being told the whole time that the only reason we suffer from inequality is because we refuse to work hard and won't pull up our pants. This 400 years of racism and institutional oppression makes up the entirety of American history going back to 1619. And you know that our ancestors used every method possible, every form of resistance to counter this racism and this institutional oppression. But here in the new millennium, we have to remind our community that voting must be our primary form of resistance. And we have our work cut out for us. We definitely have our work cut out for us because the people that was marching saying that Black Lives Matter have to know that if Black Lives Matter, then Black people must vote. That you can't walk through the streets and be willing to interrupt traffic if you're not willing to interrupt your schedule to cast a ballot over who's going to control the Department of Justice and our Supreme Court nominees. And we know that people weren't just marching in the streets shouting Black Lives Matter just because of what was captured on police cameras, but was marching because of what's been captured in history. But we know that our captured history is a never-ending tale of people who look like us that died for us so we can vote. And look, I try not to dismiss the people who, in this past election, said that they got tired of choosing between the lesser of two evils. But as history and government majors, you know politics is inherently choosing between the lesser of two evils. Anything that includes the poisonous trifecta of human beings, money, and power will inevitably breed elements of evil. This is our politics, so we know that we are often choosing between one party that is apathetic to our interests and another party that is hostile to our interests. But this is where knowing your political history can help you make wise political choices. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Political expediency is sometimes morally wise." This may explain why he supported Senator Kennedy, despite Senator Kennedy having a terrible public record on civil rights prior to the 1960 presidential election. While black people, while we revere JFK today, the reality is Richard Nixon had a better public record than JFK on civil rights prior to the 1960 election. If you want an example of picking between the lesser of two evils, consider the 1960 election, where on one side you had JFK, who was so conservative on civil rights that Southern segregationists preferred his nomination for the Democratic Party over an actual Southerner, Lyndon B. Johnson. And he was instrumental in weakening the 1957 Civil Rights Act. And on the other side, you had Richard Nixon, that was the vice president of an administration that wouldn't lift a finger for our community unless they were forced to. And they were also instrumental in weakening the 1957 Civil Rights Act. That's why we needed another Civil Rights Act in 1963. These were the two people that African Americans had to choose from in the 1960 election. Yet Dr. Martin Luther King showed us, by his support for Senator Kennedy, that protest must come with pragmatism. You see, Dr. King, a scholar, understood from history that one election in America literally will determine whether black lives will matter or not. It was the election in 1877 by Ruther B. Hayes, won by Ruther B. Hayes, that led to the removal of federal troops from the South, that led black people to being lynched and burned to death for almost 100 years. If I had time, I could take most of the negative statistics associated with our community and link them back to two presidencies, Andrew Johnson's and Ruther B. Hayes. That's almost 140 years ago, and the consequences are still with us today. That is why if you ignore this history or don't know that history at all, little stuff like email servers and words like super predators convince you that you shouldn't participate in a presidential election. That's why history and government scholars, we have to be the ones that lead this fight. As we know that our principles, our idealism, and our protests must come with tangible political strategies, realism, and pragmatism. It's this dogged pragmatism that produces progress for our communities. And I'll conclude by saying this. Look, there's people in the world that has it worse than African Americans have it today. Some of them are subjected to civil war and genocide, or a combination of both. Some of them are without the basic necessities such as food, water, and shelter. Some of them are still choking on sarin gas, and others are ducking the bullets of AK-47s. And so African Americans, we have a lot to be thankful for in this great but deeply flawed nation. But we can never settle and lay on the gratitude of our second-class status simply because others in the world have it worse. In fact, we have to use what progress we have made in this country to agitate for even better conditions here at home, so that at some point we could turn to rectify the injustices abroad. Because based on my history, African Americans are warriors for justice. But we can't go another 100 years worried alone about the black race, ignoring the problems that is affecting the human race. So today I'm asking you to view your education in global terms, starting by inspiring your family to reach higher by obtaining a college education, then laying a foundation for those that will follow you through an HBCU like this, by being a stellar citizen and an exceptional boss, then reminding our community that resistance includes voting, and then linking your individual efforts to improving our community as a whole. Now, whether you think our community can be improved or not, it's about whether you will give in to despair over hope. So the responsibilities I laid out here today was not so much about laying obligations at your feet as it was instilling hope in your spirit. A hope that tomorrow will be better if you're willing to fight for a better tomorrow. And as history and government majors, I just know this to be true, that you have our tough history rolling on the movie reel of your intellect. But you can no longer just use that reel to describe racism. You have to use it to end racism. These are your responsibilities as honored Bowie State students. a responsibility and a commission I hope you accept. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, thank you so much for that inspiring speech, and I hope all of us will take it to heart. Thank you so much. The program now continues with the awards. I'm sorry. As I call your name, please come forward. Provost, please come, please. Mimi, come. Mimi.
Can you stand in front of the podium?
You want it open?
Yes, that's open. Thank you.
You can stand there so we can get a good picture. Emmanuel Ara.
First. Thank you.
Joel Anderson.
Got that camera ready?
Yes.
Good?
Thank you.
Sophia Baggy. Kahil Bennett. James Fisher. Ramsey Brock Smith. Ramsey Brock Smith. James Copeland. Larry Dickens.
Is that a good angle?
Laurie Dixon. Sebo Inkara. Simon Fair.
Thank you.
Alicia Kabulos. Gregory Foster.
see him, man.
That's a good smile.
Courtney Fullwood. Megan Garrett. Desha Goff. Manisha, Mikali Isaac Selassie. Calvin Kennedy.
Take a minute. All these pictures.
That's my oldest boy, my only boy.
Good?
Manisha
Wait a
Lawrence.
minute.
No, because you're looking that way. Okay. There we go, that's better.
Manisha Lawrence.
Quick.
Justin Nestor. Jose Romero Ventura.
I was wondering why you were here, Rosa. I didn't know that was your brother. Okay, over here. Thank you.
Martin Michel.
Got it.
Let's go back to production.
William Roots. Leah Ruel.
Great.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Erin Squire Wilson. David Thompson. Ryan Washington. And that's for this group.
Let us shift this way so we can get a group picture so that
Okay,
in
come on
the
this way.
light.
Probably 2 lines, right?
Yeah,
Or 2 rows.
scrunch together. You got him? Okay, good. Because if I move, I'm gonna get in front of the camera.
Squeeze in just a little more, please.
Out of the light, out of the light. Everybody shift this way. Shift this, yes, yes. Shift, shift, no light, no light, no light.
This fall.
Around family, this way. There you go.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three.
Thank you, Dr.
Are we keeping it open?
Good? Okay.
The program continues with the induction of Pi Sigma Alpha inductees.
Greetings. Members of Pi Sigma Alpha, candidates for initiation and adoption, the Bogu State University administrators and faculty, Mr. Miller, our guest speaker, family members, students and friends, we bring greetings to you at this induction ceremony and thank you once again for coming.
Hello.
So we're here today for the purpose of initiating new members into Pi Sigma Alpha, the National Political Science Honor Society. Pi Sigma Alpha was founded in 1920 at the University of Texas in Austin to encourage and recognize superior achievement in the study of government and politics at the undergraduate and graduate level. With chapters numbering well over 600, it is the only recognized college honor society in the discipline and is now one of the largest constituent members of the Association of College Honor Societies. The study of politics and government is one of the noblest of academic pursuits. It uses the understanding and the principles by which we govern ourselves, and it contributes directly to the quality of our lives and the well-being of future generations. You have demonstrated both by your interest in and commitment to this discipline and by your high scholastic achievement that you have the potential to excel as citizens and scholars, and so deserve the honor of membership into Pi Sigma Alpha. With special honor comes the special obligations of leaders to exemplify and safeguard the academic aims of this university, the honesty and integrity of its scholars, and the ideals of your alma mater. You have earned membership in this illustrious society by attaining the highest standards of scholarship in accordance with the rigorous criteria set forth in the National Constitution of Pi Sigma Alpha, the bylaws of Phi Epsilon, chapter at Bowie State University, and the requirements of the Association of College Honor Societies.
the following candidates for the initiation into Pi Sigma Alpha, the National Political Science Honor Society. Please come forward. Mr. Chidozie Michael Arad. Ms. Keisha LaRue. Mr. Martin Misha. Mr. William Roots. Ms. Leah Ward. And Ms. Talia Thompson. Your eligibility for membership in Pi Sigma Alpha has been vouched for by Dr. Benjamin Arad, the Pi Upsilon BSU chapter advisor. And so, you all are duly invited to lifetime membership in both the National Organization of Pi Sigma Alpha and this Pi Upsilon chapter at Bowie State University. By accepting this honor, you signify your acceptance of and commitment to the ideals of high scholarship, integrity, and citizenship embodied in the goals of this institution and of Pi Sigma Alpha.
Please repeat after me. I, then state your names. I do solemnly swear that I will support the bylaws of our Pi Sigma Alpha and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties and responsibilities pertaining to my membership in this National Honor Society. Congratulations.
Each inductee may now step forward to receive their BSU membership certificate from the Chair of History and Government. You will also receive another certificate from the American Political Science Association upon paying a token fee of $35.
Your certificates are in transit. Congratulations. Okay, thank you.
As noted in the program, we have what is known as superlative awards. These awards go to history and government graduating seniors with a GPA of 3.75 or above. Recipients have not earned any grade.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Dr. Rowe was trying to remind me, it's been a long day. I'm sorry, I have a Phi Alpha Theta presentation. I apologize. After, all right, I hit me in the head sometime. I was like, huh?
Okay.
I apologize. Sorry, Dr. Lewis. Okay, so
That's
we
what you
do.
call commercial break.
Okay, so we do not have a Phi Alpha Theta induction this year. Unfortunately, we did not have any students that met the criteria, but we hope to have plenty next year. But what I do have are tassels for my graduating seniors for graduation. So those of you, I only see two of you here, Jewel Anderson and Gregory Foster. If you come up here, I can give you So So thank you so much. I also want to give Gregory a personal shout out because he has participated in 2 Phi Alpha Theta conferences. He has given 2 very good papers. If you'd like to see the presentations, you can go on our YouTube page and watch the presentations. And I do want to say, our speaker, Joshua, he talked about taking advantage of all the things that are offered to you, especially while you're here at Bowie. Now, I know I come up to y'all, I bully you in a good way. I try to twist your arms and things like that to get you to participate in some of these things that are going to help you in your future endeavors. When you participate in things like the Phi Alpha Theta Conference and things for Pi Sigma Alpha and things for the department, we're not doing it to try to be mean. We really want to encourage you and support you. And also, you'll interact with your peers who will be sitting next to you in graduate school and in professional school. And so that's why we do these things. I always tell the story about in undergrad, one of my professors, she didn't ask me if I wanted to go to the conference. She said, we're leaving on such and such day. Please have a presentation together because you're going. And so my only question was, well, what am I supposed to present about? She gave me the topic. I was there, I was ready, and I did it. It wasn't any second guessing or anything else like that. In graduate school, my graduate professor is sitting back there, Dr. Medford. But in graduate school, Roger, you might remember this too, we were told, dust off, you told your crew, because he will tell this story all the time with his Black Panther Party paper. And he's one of the foremost, one of our cohorts and one of our very good friends, Uhura Williams, is one of the foremost scholars on the Black Power movement and the Black Panther Party. And Dr. Medford told him, it was a Phi Alpha Theta conference, and she told him, dust off one of your papers, Mr. Williams, because you're presenting at Phi Alpha Theta. So he grabbed one of the first papers he ever did about the Black Panther Party and presented it there. And it has led to countless books and articles, and he's now going to be dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at St. Thomas University in Minnesota. So I'm just saying, we don't do this stuff to be mean. We do these things to prepare you for your future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Now we shall move to the superlative awards. These awards go to history and government graduating seniors with a GPA of 3.75 or above. Recipients have not earned any grade less than a B in their history or government courses. So the first award is the Leopold von Ranke Carter G. Woodson Award. Leopold von Ranke, known as founder of the modern historical method, was probably the most important historian to shape the historical profession as it emerged in Europe and the United States in the late 19th century. His promotion of the seminar method and use of primary resources in historical research became a staple of the discipline. Carter G. Woodson is known as the father of Black history. His advocacy of Negro history and the documentation of those of African descent as a topic worthy of scholarly study fostered the field of African American history and ultimately led to the establishment of the Black History Month. This year's recipient is Mr. Gregory Foster. A senior history major and minor in Pan-African Studies, he currently holds an overall GPA of 3.81 and a 4.0 GPA in his history classes at Bowie State. He is a member of the Sigma Lambda chapter of Phi Alpha Theta, Golden Key International Honor Society, National Society for Leadership and Success, and is an active member of Lighthouse Campus Ministries, which is BSU's chapter of InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. Last year, the Tom Joyner Foundation selected him as an Hercules Scholar representing BSU for his academic accomplishments. Johns Hopkins University has accepted Gregory into his master's in
Also, last week received an award for the Department of History and Government as our ambassador.
What was the provost tonight?
I only have one question for you. Who gave you a B?
It wasn't me. It usually is, but it wasn't.
The next award is Charles Hamilton Haynes Walton Award. Political scientist Charles Vernon Hamilton co-wrote with Stokely Carmichael the seminal volume Black Power, the Politics of Liberation in America, that explained the particular turn in the civil rights struggle and limitations in the model when confronted with the struggles that African Americans faced outside of the South. This publication popularized the term institutional racism and reflected Hamilton's specific focus on activist scholarship. Haynes Walton is credited with solidifying the field of black politics within the discipline of political science. The first doctoral graduate in political science from Howard University. He was co-founder of the National Conference of Black Political Scientists and vice president of the American Political Association. He was a very prolific scholar who authored more than 80 articles, 25 book chapters, and 25 books. There is no recipient for this award this year. The next award is Martha S. Putney Award. This award is named for the founding of the chairwoman of the Department of History and Government. Dr. Putney documented the experiences of African American women in the military service during World War II. The award denotes a student's academic achievement and service to the university and wider community. This year, for the first time, we have two recipients deserving of the Martha S. Putney Award. Junior government major and pre-law minor, Felicia Fabulous. From Fayetteville, North Carolina, and has a 3.7 GPA. She is finishing a term as the junior class president and is the president-elect of the Student Government Association. Felicia has served the BSU community as a member of the Honors Program, News Student Orientation Leader, on-campus tutor, and member of Pi Sigma Alpha Honor Society and Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. She plans on attending law school after graduating from Bowie State University. The second recipient is Ryan Washington, a junior government major with a 3.84 GPA. He has immersed himself in the campus community as a member of the Honors Program, National Society of Leadership and Success, Pi Sigma Alpha Honor Society, and Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity. He has made the Dean's List each semester in residence and received the Tom Joyner Hercules Scholarship. Ryan is a dedicated member of the Student Government Association and is completing a term as Vice President. We also have a special award, special recognition goes to Mr. Jalil Bennett for the second place win at the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge. Mr. Miller, Joshua, please come. The Department of History and Government presents special recognition for Honors Day Award ceremony to Mr. Joshua Miller.
Yes. Okay. And one more. There we go.
agree with me, it has been a very pleasant evening, right?
Yes.
And I would like to recognize Professor Reed. Professor Reed is Professor of History in our Department of History. And to you, the honorees, as we conclude this ceremony this evening, I want to leave these few words with you. There was a book written by the author by the name of William Smith, titled, "We Must Run While They Walk." We must run while they walk. It was a portrait of Julius Nyerere, the former president of Tanzania. And so, my friends, you have been running while others were walking. And you were running to a goal. And the goal is to attain academic excellence. Keep on running. But at the same time, don't be complacent. Think big. In conclusion, I would narrate these stories to you in terms of thinking big. There was a radio station series titled The 10-Minute Coach. It was done by Dan Laird. He interviewed a young man, a salesman, who was a top seller in his field. The man was about the same age as Dan, yet he was earning $250,000 a year, more than twice what Dan was making. After talking with Dan for a few minutes, the successful statesman said something that startled him. He said, "Dan, please don't take this wrong, but you will never sell enough of your product to earn $250,000 a year." Try not to be offended. Dan asked him what he meant. The young salesman replied, and I quote, "It is not that I am trying to limit you, but you will never make $250 a year with that $100,000 a year attitude you walk in here with." Dan was shocked, but he learned a lesson, a valuable lesson that the starting point to the next level of income, or anything else for that matter, is not in skill or knowledge, but in learning to think big. And so to you, the honorees, don't scale down your dreams. Always think big. For indeed, with the right attitude, you can indeed achieve whatever dreams you dream of. Thank you. Our chairman just arrived and probably came here to give the benediction.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just want to thank all the parents. Would your parents stand one more time for me so I can see you? Parents and family. On behalf of our university president and provost, please thank you for coming to Bowie State University and sending us your children. We are so appreciative and hope we're doing a good job for you and that you'll be pleased as we send them out into the world. Thank you, parents, so very much. Josh, would you stand one more time? Josh was my student, so I was so pleased.
Everybody's student.
And I was so pleased to read his speech on Facebook this morning. As soon as I got up, I scrolled down, and there you were, Joshua, with your speech on Facebook. So I had even though I wasn't here, I had a chance to see it. And thank you so very much for coming. Provost Jackson, stand up one more time. And we're so happy with him because he works for me, and I work for him. And so he's been a big help to us, and I want to thank him. I want all my faculty to stand one more time. I know you're all here. And I want Dr. Robinson to please remain standing. Everybody else can sit down. These two are my children, and even though we fight all the time, they really do come in when I need their help. And they've put this program together for me. They've worked very, very hard. So I want to give them a special thanks. I want to thank the director of the University Library staff. Because we're not supposed to be in this building having food. And she allows us to come in this and have food here. My right hand, Mrs. Carrica, would you please raise your hand? Is Kira here, my student assistant, is she here?
No.
I saw some visiting deans. Dr. Wakafa, where are you? You still here?
No.
Dean Wakafa, he left. Any other visiting faculty here today? Then all my awardees, let me see you again. You stand up one more time, Susan. And my hearty congratulations to you as well. Thank you again for being my major. I'm going to let Reverend Dr. Lewis bless this food.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, we thank you for this wonderful and beautiful day that you've given to us. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And now, eternal God, we thank you for the food that you've given to us and the hands that prepared. We pray that you will bless and sanctify them as well to eat. May we always be mindful of those who have no food to eat. Let us be sensitive to the needs of others. As we eat and enjoy ourselves, may this food not only nourish our bodies physically, but also empower us spiritually to go to the uttermost parts of the earth to declare with great jubilation, to God be the glory, great things he hath done.
I just have one favor. Would you please let your parents go first? So parents, please get in line first. Thank you. Dr. Jackson, thank you so much.